Hey guys, welcome to another video here at Cloud Colubrids. It's a nice hot day out here. Today we're going to be doing a rack build for the FB28 bin from Freedom Breeder. I'm going to go inside, make some coffee, and we're going to get to building the rack, so stay tuned. So I'm glad you're here watching the channel. I specialize in all kinds of colubrids. You can check out all my videos. I have other videos of previous racks I built, so go check those out. I'll leave you a playlist. And to start this build, I need something to motivate me. For me, just a good cup of coffee. That's what gets me going. So I'm gonna drink a little bit and we're gonna start this rack. Good coffee, really good coffee. Oh man, I was setting up my light fixture and the light fell on me right here. The fixture drew a little bit of blood, but it's not too bad. Alright guys, so this is going to be the bin we're using today. This is the FB28 from Freedom Breeder. It's good for small to medium sized adult colubrids like king snakes and corn snakes. It's got a lot of space. It's got your built-in deli cup holder for the water bowl and pre-drilled holes. That's why I love this bin. And you can even use this for juvenile ball pythons. It's a nice size bin and we're going to be using this one today. It's one of my favorite bins. So first off, you need PVC. I got my PVC behind me. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm using. I ordered it from a company called Piedmont Plastics. You can go online, look them up, Piedmont Plastics. Just tell them the exact specs you need, what cuts you need, how many you need. They'll cut it for you and you just go pick it up at the warehouse. They have them all over the country. If not Piedmont Plastics, just look up Google, anything local that cuts PVC. I don't have the equipment to cut it myself, so that was just convenient for me. Then secondly, you need the bins. Usually you're gonna have the bins before you even order the PVC. You take the bins, you measure them, and then you'll know exactly how many levels you're going, how many bins per row, and you could come up with the specifications of how much PVC and what cuts you'll need. So you got your bins, you got your PVC already cut. Now all you need is a hand drill and screws. I'm using SPAX screws. They're real good. They come with a little drill bit inside and they're 1 1/4 inches long. If they're too long, they'll go through the PVC and sometimes they'll come up the other side. So about 1 1/4 inches is perfect. Alright, so we got our PVC right here. And the reason why we use PVC is because it's lightweight and it's super easy to clean. This is some chlorhexidine solution. It's antibacterial. And whenever you're cleaning your bins, your rack, you just wipe it down, spray it, that's it, and you're done. So right now I'm just building the base. I'm by myself, nobody helping me. I don't have any fancy clamps. So I'm just taking the long side panel, laying it on the floor, and then putting the base down on the floor, connecting it together, and screw it right in. We're gonna give 3 screws, one on the top, one in the middle, one on the bottom. Then we're gonna go on the other side, grab the next side panel, and just do the same thing. Screw it on the top, the middle, and then we're gonna screw the bottom in, and that's gonna set the foundation. And now we're just gonna take it after we do that and flip it upright so we could start actually building the rack. So the hardest part of building this rack is doing that what I just showed you, the base. Now that it's connected, it'll go right up real quick. So this is the first level and we're gonna use this piece of cardboard as a spacer gap. This is gonna be the thickness of the gap between the bin and the actual PVC shelf. If you don't put this, the bin will get stuck when you try and pull it out. It'll be too tight. So this is about a 1/4 of an inch. or not even that. And for actual hatchling rack, I go thinner than that. You can check out one of my videos where I did for the hatchling rack, and you'll see I use a real thin plastic liner. So I just put that down there, and that's where the first bin will be. And now all we do, that's the first level right there. You just throw the PVC right on top of the bin, and there's this liner that comes with the PVC. It comes right off. That just keeps it nice and clean. So now that the base foundation is made, everything is just a repetitive process. First you put the spacer gap down, then you put the bin down, then you put the PVC. You screw the 4 sides, then you just pull everything out, and you start again on the next shelf, the next level. You do everything. It's just repetitive. It goes up really quick. So enjoy. So now we're going to take the bin out, and the spacer gap's going to come out with it. It's a tight squeeze with the spacer gap. And now how we test it, we take the spacer gap out and we put the bin back in. And you see it slides in nice and smooth. Now this is what created that gap right here.
Giving you guys a better look of the gap. It's very thin. It goes in nice and smooth. That's what you want. You don't want it to be too snug, then you can't open the bin.
Now just a quick rule of thumb. This bin is 16 inches wide. You want to make your shelf 16.5 inches wide. So it's just a 1/2 inch wider than this. If it was the exact size of the bin, it'll barely come out. There'll be no play. You want to give it a little play. So it's about 1/4 inch on each side. Now if you went 1 inch or 2 inches longer than this, it would move around too much. So you just want about a 1/2 inch wider than the actual bin size, just to give it enough play to come in and out. Beautiful. So this is what it looks like from afar. We got our first level built, and it's basically holding itself up. Once you get that first shelf put in, it holds everything in place. If you have someone to help you, they could hold it for you, but that's pretty much it. So now we're just gonna build it up and continue. Now the key is when you're drilling the screws into these levels, before you screw them in, make sure they're flush. See how everything's flush? And everything is perfectly lined up. Just make sure everything's lined up, and then you put your screw in, and that's it. Because once you start screwing it in and it's not even, it's going to be hard to fix it once everything's built. So just make sure everything's nice and leveled. So now I'm laying the rack on its face. I'm gonna apply the heat to the back of the rack. I'm not doing belly heat because I live in South Florida and my house is around 78 degrees on average. And I'm just gonna put it from the bottom to the midway point and cover it with this PVC to allow ventilation. If you live in a cold climate, I would cover the whole back. But because of the humidity out here, I want to increase ventilation, so I put a thin piece of PVC just to cover it so the bins won't slide out. And the top 3 levels will maintain a nice temperature because heat rises. So now all I'm doing, screwing the back panel into the actual rack, and that'll also help hold the whole rack together. So I got my heat tape from Reptile Basics, and if you wanted to do belly heat, you just got one long roll and you got to run it through the shelves, run it in and out. It's a lot more work, but if you live in a cold environment, that's what you need to do. Luckily for me, I don't need to do that. So now we're gonna stand the rack back up and just check out how it looks. You got your heat tape along the back, just beautiful. It came out really nice. So now it's time to put those beautiful FB28 bins in the rack. Make sure everything is perfect before we introduce any snakes. Alright guys, so the rack's built. We put it up in about a half hour, and the top bin is a little bit snug, but it goes in and out, and the rest, they're perfect. Now, this was my original spacer gap, which is a little bit thinner than the cardboard I used, but I couldn't use this because it was too long, it wouldn't fit. So that's why I had to use the cardboard, and because it was a little thicker, it threw my measurements off by a little bit, so the top was just a little bit snug, but other than that, it came out perfect. So after this, I'm gonna go out and get another coffee. This rack is done, it's perfect. I just gotta roll it out into the room. Now this rack is a little bit over 70 inches tall. The bins came out perfectly. Look how nice and smooth it is, perfect. And this is great for adult colubrids that are small to medium. Small to medium sized adult colubrids, juvenile ball pythons, it's perfect. Now the beauty about making these yourself, you can customize it however you want. Usually you get these 10 levels high. I made it 11 levels high just to make it custom made. And this rack is towering. I can't say that word, tongue twister, but it's just beautiful. So I had so much fun building this rack with you guys. Now it's gonna save you money if you build your own. You can make them customized. And if you do have money to spare, you just got money to spare and you don't really feel like building a rack yourself, I highly recommend ARS racks. They're amazing. I've seen them in Daytona, and maybe one day I'll treat myself to an ARS rack. They're beautiful racks, but they're very expensive, but they're built to last forever, just like this one right here. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave comments below. Usually I get a lot of questions with the rack builds. I help you guys out any way I can. So with that, be safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Another successful rack build. I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe and help support the channel. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.